Arrowhead has just announced the Force of Law Warbond, and I went live yesterday dissecting the entire thing and schizo diving with the community to find every hidden detail or Easter egg that we could. So let's just pull up the entire Warbond page itself. There is a healthy amount of cosmetics, gear, and emotes that any players who were previously worrying about dwindling numbers of items no longer have to be worried. This Warbond is loaded with a nice amount of things, and a lot of the cosmetics look pretty good in this one. So first, let's cover the AR-32 Pacifier, the best looking assault rifle in the game now in my opinion, with the magazine in the front of the trigger instead of behind it. This gun's model is likely based off of the Sig Sauer 5.56 classic SWAT rifle, which was an updated version of the Sig 550 series brought to the North American shooting market. Now, our Helldivers modified Pacifier in-game has this blue tag with a little lightning bolt on the magazine, but this rifle probably doesn't do any arc damage as there were no arcs when they were shooting it in the trailer. It's very likely a stun rifle because we did happen to catch a freeze frame in the trailer of this overseer who was getting shot, put down his weapon by his side, and covered up his face. And this is the stun animation for overseers. Here's an old video from an old tier list I did for squids where I was showing the Halt shotgun against the faction, and you can see the overseer in this clip slouched over and covered his face as well. Now, my best guess for stats of this weapon, this is totally speculation. The best thing I can think to do is compare this to the Pummeler. The Pummeler has stun rounds and deals 70 damage, compared to the Defender that has normal rounds and does 80 damage. So my best guess is that this Pacifier is 70 damage as well, given that the Liberator does 80 damage. Now, technically, this is not a Liberator variant at all, so it may not be comparable to the Liberator's damage at all, but that is my best guess for the damage of this weapon. Now, I do have to mention that the Pummeler's stun effect is considered stun 1, which is effectively the name for light stun. It takes multiple bullets to build up stun on most enemies. It can even take up to 3 bullets to build up stun on Alpha Warriors. And then when it finally does stun an enemy, it only stuns them for 1.5 seconds. And this is the nerfed version of the Pummeler compared to the original one, which stunned enemies in pretty much one shot for 3 seconds. Personally, I think that light stun is good for the arc weapons in the game because the arc weapons first stagger enemies before applying the light stun to them, and I honestly think that stun 1 needs buffed on the Pummeler. Now, we could get lucky and this assault rifle might get the Halt stun, which is a heavy stun, lasts 5 seconds long, and pretty much applies that stun to every enemy in one shot. Now, we also went full schizo mode on stream and used this spent bullet casing in the trailer to try and measure the magazine, and using the power of MS Paint, we have determined our best guess for mag size is maybe about 45 rounds. Okay, we didn't use this painting at all. Probably similar to the Liberator or the other assault rifles. Yeah, we can line up all the bullets all we like, but it just looks like a standard extended mag. Now again, this gun is based on the Sig 5.56. It uses 5.56 ammunition, and our Liberator in-game uses a very similar bullet, which is basically the Helldivers version of the 5.56. So I would imagine it's likely using the same extended magazine on this version. Next up, we've got the GL52 De-Escalator, which is an arc grenade launcher, but notably it is not belt fed like the normal grenade launcher. This model, pointed out by the chat, thank you guys, was based on the Milker MGL, a 6-shot cylinder-fed, low-velocity grenade launcher with a double action system. Now, this model for a grenade launcher, as well as the fact that it fires arc grenades, is just really, really cool. This is probably the item I'm most looking forwards towards using. I think I'm really going to enjoy the reload animation, as well as just shooting arc grenades everywhere. I really hope when the launcher is empty, they add a really huge speed loader like the Senator has, because that would be really funny. But otherwise, the actual Milker in real life is rounds reload, so that just seems pretty fun to have on a support weapon as well. There's not much other Easter eggs here to show you guys other than that this was based off of the Milker MGL. The effect of this grenade launcher seems relatively powerful. We'll see if it can stop a charger charge if you shoot a couple grenades its way. All the other arc weapons in the game do have stun 1 on them, aka light stun, but this grenade launcher seems like it shoots out a ton of arcs So, you know, it might take 1 grenade to stop a charger in its charge, but it might end up taking 2 or 3. We'll just have to see. And we'll also see if it gets armor pen 7, similar to the arc thrower, which means you could spam this at the front of chargers, or if it'll end up getting armor pen 3, like the blitzer, in which case you could shoot it under the charger or into the wagon. And hopefully this is just more useful than something like the arc thrower anyway, because you can rapid fire at least 6 shots from a grenade launcher. There's no charge up mechanic here, which I am a big fan of, and I really do think I will enjoy using this. Next up, we've got the AX Arc 3 Guard Dog K9, and this is simply a blitzer on a guard dog. This just seems pretty fun as well. There's no hidden Easter eggs here, but you know, we're including every item in the video. I am looking forward to this item, and I do enjoy all the memes about team killing your teammates. Shout out to Labyrinth on this one. And to be fair, it's not as if, you know, the other guard dogs haven't had their fair share of team killing anyway. If you see a teammate using this, just be sure to stay behind them. Try not to get enemies in between you and a teammate using this. You'll definitely need to pay attention to positioning here. You don't want any stray arcs coming towards you. So on to the G109 Urchin stun grenade, and this is based off of the real life animal, the sea urchin, which are spiny skinned echinoderms, meaning they are marine invertebrates related to sea stars, sea cucumbers, and sand dollars. All right, jokes aside, to be honest, I am not excited for this grenade, as it is seemingly just a single target stun grenade. Now, notably, all the largest enemies in the game are immune to stun, so unless they allow these to stun Bile Titans or tanks, I really do not see the value in this grenade at all. Now, they did show this grenade working against flesh mobs in the trailer, and notably, flesh mobs have a sort of resistance to stun where they can break out of it, and then they kind of made a new grenade to counter that, which just seems weird. It's like they introduced a problem and then a solution to the problem. However, the problem is irrelevant because I would literally rather throw a pyrotech and heavily burn down a flesh mob's HP as well as kill all the enemies around it. Or if I actually want to CC them, I could just toss in a gas grenade, which they are not confusion immune, and then the gas grenade again kills all the voteless around it. But you know, not every item in the Warbond has to be a banger. I just personally would have rather gotten actual arc grenades, like, you know, the ammo that's in the grenade launcher, just let me throw that. I would have had more fun with that personally. But with that being said, the rest of the Warbond does look pretty cool. This just seems like the one bad item. Okay, so now onto the armor sets. The armor sets in this Warbond has heavy RoboCop vibes, which makes sense for a police-themed Warbond. The armor set says it comes with higher resistance to chest damage, explosive resistance, and all damage from bleeding. Now, chest damage resistance is an interesting thing we've never seen in an armor set yet. But having resistance on only 1 out of the 4 limbs seems a bit weird. There will definitely be some sort of tech where you can dive or crouch or do some sort of specific movement to make attacks like the Predator Hunter Spit purposefully hit your chest and then you can resist it. However, this armor does also just straight up have explosive resistance, which is just one of the best passives in the game, because again, stuff like Predator Hunter Spit or Bile Spewer Spit or Bile Titan Spit also counts as explosive damage, and a lot of people do know that now, but there are a bunch of new players to the game. A lot of stuff in this game does count as explosive damage, so this is one of the better armor passives in the game. And then it says the third passive is chest hemorrhaging, which is just completely useless in my opinion. Even when I queue solo, I take the vitality booster, which gives you bleeding resistance to your chest, and if you're queuing squads, someone in the squad always ends up taking the vitality booster. With that being said though, the armor is drippy, and as long as the passive doesn't punish the drip, that's all that's important in my opinion. And for what it's worth, I do think explosive resistance is powerful enough that you won't get punished for wearing this armor set. Now, since we're talking about the armors, let's move on to the Superstore items, which is technically separate from the Warbond, but we're obviously covering it here. And this looks like the Helldivers version of the Judge Dredd armor set, where Judge Dredd is kind of skinnier, but the heavy armor in the Superstore kind of has that explosive resistance padding on it, and I do think that Easter egg is pretty cool. And this way we can segue into the pistol that comes in the Superstore as well, which is obviously going to be the Judge Dredd pistol. Now, you'll notice these red lights on the Judge Dredd pistol, and if we go back to the trailer, in the first few frames where we see the pistol, we did also notice these red lights. Now, weirdly in the trailer, these lights change to blue or even green lights sometimes in later shots. One other small thing to notice is in the trailer, the pistol doesn't have a scope on it, but in the Superstore screen page, it does have a little holo sight on it. And again, you'll notice the blue dots in the Superstore page. So this has led people to speculate that we're getting secondary weapon customization by the time this Warbond comes out. And I do not want to hype up that theory too much, but that is a theory that's going around. So if we go ahead and go to the Judge Dredd wiki and we take a look at what the Judge Dredd pistol does, it was called the Lawgiver in the Dredd universe, which is a voice-activated machine pistol that is the standard sidearm issued to judges, again in the Dredd universe, and it had a host of different ammo types. The standard ammo, AP rounds, ricochet rounds, which were rubber titanium and could bounce behind cover to hit your targets, incendiary rounds, high explosive rounds, heat seeker rounds, which were lock on and they could seek onto your targets, or gas rounds. Now, this is a ton of different ammo types, and we're obviously not going to get a pistol with 7 different ammo types. That would be absolutely insane, and I do think they would have showed off a lot of this different ammo in the trailer. But I do think it's possible we could see 2 or 3 ammo types similar to a gun like the Halt, and it would also make sense and could explain the different light colors we saw earlier. Now, for all I know, there's only 1 ammo type and the lights could just be a cosmetic meant to look like the Dredd pistol, but I was curious and did notice that they did change colors. Now, one last thing, when we watched the footage, we did realize it was probably slowed a bit for the trailer because, you know, when you're watching this clip, you kind of notice the vote lists are moving a little bit slow, the Helldivers moving a little bit slow, and the casings coming out of the gun are launching a bit slow as well. So here is the clip in 1.5 speed, which looks about right to me, so I did speed it up a little bit for this section. Now, the reason we're looking at this clip is because they are piercing through the vote list, like when it goes through the vote list head on the right, and when it goes through the vote list chest on the left, it pierced directly through them. And by the way, these bullets are actually still moving pretty slow compared to regular bullets, so this indicates some sort of higher damage or possibly even gyrojet rounds. Kind of think about this like a Jar Dominator, but in pistol form, so maybe it could have similar characteristics to the Dominator. And there really is not too much to go on in the trailer, and we can only hope for multiple ammo types because that's always unique and really fun. But that's all I got for you guys for the pistol. And then we have the different emotes in this Warbond, the 3 different hand signs to signal to your teammates without having to use voice chat, which is pretty fun and allows for some good roleplay in my opinion. I will definitely play a few games where we turn off all our voice chat in our pre-made lobbies and we just stick together and try to signal to each other and play as a team just using these 3 emotes. I do think it's pretty cool. The big hope from everyone in the community is that these can be used to direct Seaf Troopers, similar to the other callouts in pinging. Seaf Troopers will salute back to you. If you tell them to follow you, they'll follow you. If you tell them to hold position, they'll hold position. So hopefully the hold emote can also signal for them to hold position. I think everyone enjoys having the Seaf squad on the battlefield, and we all can't wait to see their return. With that being said, these are all of the details we noticed in the trailer. Be sure to like the video and comment down below if you noticed anything else. See you guys next time. I'm out.